everyone. I'm Angie, and this is Haley, Mason, and Malia. We stayed at the Ronald McDonald house for 6 months about 3 years ago. Malia didn't get a night there. She was in the hospital, but the rest of us spent many nights there in that 6 months. I just want to thank all of you for everything that you do. I don't know what we would have done without it. We think back of the Ronald McDonald house, and it's love and laughter and compassion and just a wonderful, wonderful place. Thank you so much. What do you say, Mason?
Thank you, bye.
Yay, Malia! Yay.
Hey everybody, my name is Wendy. This is my daughter Rachel. When we think of the Ronald McDonald House, we think of love. Love from the staff, the volunteers, the community. We've had a couple times we've had to stay at the Ronald McDonald House, and we've always been treated with love. So when we think of Ronald McDonald House, we think of love, and we thank you for your support.
Mason and Malia. We stayed at the Ronald McDonald house for 6 months about 3 years ago. Malia didn't get a night there. She was in the hospital, but the rest of us spent many nights there in that 6 months. I just want to thank all of you for everything that you do. I don't know what we would have done without it. We think back of the Ronald McDonald house, and it's love and laughter and compassion and just a wonderful, wonderful place. Thank you so much. What do you say, Mason?
Thank you, bye.
Yay,
Yay, Malia.
everybody. My name is Wendy. This is my daughter Rachel. When we think of the Ronald McDonald House, we think of love. Love from the staff, the volunteers, the community. We've had a couple of times we've had to stay at the Ronald McDonald House, and we've always been treated with love. So when we think of Ronald McDonald House, we think of love, and we thank you for your support.
Wow, this is embarrassing. Blink. Come on. You're just staring at the camera. Blink. It's not that hard. Ileana!
Don't worry, Martine. I think I can be of help.
Yes, Ileana. It's so good to see you again. It's my eyes. I really need help. I can't seem to blink on camera.
Well, don't worry. I got you. Let's do this. Martine, blink.
All right. Am I doing it?
Blink.
I'm trying.
Blink. Blink. Again.
Doing it.
Again.
All right.
1, 2, blink. 2, blink. 3, blink. Blink. Martine, great job. Now you're ready for Hearts and Diamonds 2022. Let's go.
Good evening, and welcome to the 19th Annual Hearts and Diamonds Spectacular presented by Sterling State Bank. I am so excited and honored to be with you to host tonight's event for the third time. For those who are joining us for the first time tonight, my name is Martine Boss, and I have volunteered for Hearts and Diamonds event for the last 6 years, and the last 2 as your MC. However, as you've seen, after last year's event had to go virtual, it was clear that I needed some help. So I'm extremely happy to introduce to you my co-MC for tonight, and someone who you might recognize from her fantastic personal story during our gala 2 years ago, Miss Ileana Sabo. Welcome, Ileana, and thank you for being my partner on this journey tonight.
Thank you, Martine. I am so excited and honored to help make this night special and memorable.
I'm good. As we start 2022, it's hard to believe that we yet again had to choose to make the Hearts and Diamonds a virtual event. But honestly, it was a no-brainer. The Ronald McDonald House is a pediatric hospitality house, and as such, the safety of our guests, our staff, and you, supporters of the house and guests of our annual gala, it is of the utmost importance. So while we all look forward to welcome you at Summerby again in person this year, this was the best choice for everyone involved. But tonight's message is not one about COVID, about an empty house or the limitations that the ongoing pandemic might have put on our mission. No, tonight we want to share with you a message of hope. Share all the positive changes and new opportunities that the pandemic has brought to the families we take care of, and the new developments in the house as we look towards a bright future. Speaking of future, I'm excited to share a quick personal update with you. As many of you know, I have come to treasure the Ronald McDonald House as a parent that did not need to use the house, as over 3 years ago our son Christian, then 3, was diagnosed with leukemia and ended up spending at least 50 days in the hospital in his first year of treatment. But as we live in Rochester, we had the option to sleep, shower, and sometimes eat at home, away from the daily hospital life filled with doctors, nurses, pokes, procedures, and chemotherapy. And this is truly what makes the Ronald McDonald House the refuge for families that live further away. Now, 3.5 years later, I am happy to report to you that in November of this past year, after 1,223 days of treatment, Christian took his last chemo pill and now goes forward as a cancer survivor. His resiliency throughout his journey teaches us every day, and his mission to give back to other kids through various charities that have helped us along the way is just heartwarming. In fact, one of his main missions is to collect Pop Tabs with the help of his grandma, and a few months ago, he delivered once again 2 large tubs for a total of 80 pounds of Pop Tabs. And in case you're wondering, Google told me that it's over 110,000 Pop Tabs.
For the past 19 years, you, friends at the house, have gathered on this night to celebrate. We have come together to support those in their greatest time of need, those who are facing a long and arduous fight, the kids who require medical treatment at Mayo Clinic, and families in need of a home away from home. As I shared with you back in 2020, Ronald McDonald House was where I started to get my life back following a hemorrhagic stroke in 2017. After 87 nights in the hospital, the house became my home. My stay here allowed me to continue to receive quality outpatient therapy for the next 3 months. And as I described my recovery 2 years ago, I promised that my journey wasn't finished. Well, this past year, I ran a whole mile without stopping. I also competed in the spelling bee again, making it all the way to the Scripps National Spelling Bee, along with the top 208 other spellers in the country. And I became a volunteer right here at the Ronald McDonald House. And it is thanks to you, our donors and our gracious sponsors, that we can keep the lights on, the water running, and the doors to this extraordinary place open for those in need. You allow patients and families to feel at home, to try and feel normal, and to leave behind some of the worry about meals or hotel bills. The previous 18 editions of Hearts and Diamonds have raised more than $2.5 million, and during our first virtual event last year, you raised an impressive $153,000. Thank you so much for this tremendous support. Again this year, our fantastic committee has worked tirelessly over the past 6 months to bring the event safely to your home and to make you feel like a VIP. They have put their heart and soul into making this event special and memorable. I would therefore like to thank our 3 event chairs, Katie Boss, Michelle Fagan, and Therese Moore. And they are joined by an amazing group of individuals who share their passion for the house and for this annual gala. Jan Andrews, Emily Benecke, Dawn Davis, Deanna Deutsch, Anna Gregory, Michelle Kalina, Nadia Locke, Laura Lindquist, Lori Melhorn, Diane Osland, and Samantha Sass. Thank you all.
As we continue, allow me to tell you what you can look forward to tonight, as Ileana and I will take turns guiding you through this virtual program. This feature presentation will consist of an update from the house, messages from our generous sponsors, and our highlight of the evening, the story of this year's host family, the Gigstats. And like last year, we will have our online silent auction. To see and follow our items, text HEARTS to 88793. The silent auction will close at 10 p.m. We will have our Fill the House with Love event, which this year will include a donation match incentive by Mayo Clinic, so stay tuned to hear more about that. And of course, we will have our live diamond drawing, for which Eliana and I will be again joined by Barbara Height Randall herself. We look forward to seeing you all on Zoom for this after the conclusion of this video. So with that, thank you again for joining us, and let's start the show.
Thanks to the passionate commitment from our sponsors, Hearts and Diamonds is one of the premier events in Rochester, and we would love to take a moment to thank them right here.
Our presenting sponsor, Sterling State Bank. Thank you, Denzel and Donna McNeilis, for 19 years.
Exclusive diamond sponsor, Height and Randall Personal Jeweler. Thank you, Barbara Height Randall and Randy Randall, for 19 years.
Our event sponsor, Summerby Golf Club. Thank you, Brett Mutchek and Trina Leth, for 15 years.
Major sponsor, Knudsen Construction. Thank you, Tom Limer and Tony Joseph, for 4 years.
Our major sponsor, Rochester Motor Cars. Thank you, Rob and the entire Gregory family and Mike Enke, for 9 years.
Heartfelt sponsors, Fagan Studios. Thank you, Sean and Michelle Fagan, for 19 years.
Summerbee has been the site host of the Hearts and Diamonds Gala for over 15 years, starting in 2005. With the Hearts and Diamonds Gala, there's a lot of behind the scenes that needs to take place, from our executive staff to creating this exquisite meal, from the front of the house staff, helping the committee decorate, as well as donating many auction items for the event's success. This year we had to think outside the box when it comes to our take-home meal kits. As you can imagine, it does take some experience in the kitchen to help with pulling this off to enjoy your experience from home. As Summerbee Golf Club would like to thank you for your continued support of the Ronald McDonald House of Rochester.
Getting ready for this event, it's almost been 3 years since we finished the last expansion. And sometimes people think, well, we were only around for the project maybe a year after. But even though we haven't been able to volunteer like we used to with the dinners and things, our employees still ask, hey, are we ever going to get back to that? And we're told yes. But I think just the commitment that our employees continue to have, even though we're not there, shows that this goes beyond just a construction project for us. We're going on 3 years. There's still a significant amount of support for the house and the mission they have. And I think just what the house does for kids is the reason why our employees continue to want to participate and be a part of the events that they have.
Sterling State Bank has been involved with Hearts and Diamonds specifically since the very start. The mission of Ronald McDonald House is near and dear to our hearts. It's about helping families. It's about helping families in a time that they're really in need. We've seen what Ronald McDonald House has done over the years for so many families. It's been something we've been very, very happy to be a part of. So much so that downstairs in our main lobby in our new corporate offices, there's a wall and there's a number of the paintings that were done by people who have stayed at the house. And we put it there, you know, to show our commitment to this community, our commitment to Ronald McDonald House.
So here we are, the 19th year of the Hearts and Diamonds Spectacular, and we're delighted to be a part of this. When we think of the theme of hope, I also think of the other things that kind of go along with hope, and that's faith and love. And faith being the first thing, without the faith of Phil Hennick in the beginning, there might not have been a Ronald McDonald House in Rochester, so we're delighted for his faith in the beginning.
And then there is love. And February is the love month because of Valentine's Day. In fact, there are people calling it Love-uary, to last all month long. And it takes love to build the house, and we are honored and privileged to be a part of that again this year.
Hey Sean, great to see you today. What a crazy couple of years it's been, right? I'm going to talk about Ronald McDonald House today, and when you walked in you saw that picture. That was 15 years ago, so we've had a long and great relationship with Ronald McDonald House. And, excuse me? Oh, sorry, one second. And gotta wear this. And it's been wonderful because, you know, one of our core values as a business is to be a good community citizen. And that means that we give willingly to and are actively involved in our communities. And I'm sorry? Really? I guess this will help. And with Ronald McDonald House, you know, what you're trying to shoot for with these community partnerships is someone that's making a difference in the community, someone that is going to utilize your time and resources most effectively, which we're thrilled with that with Ronald McDonald House. I'm in the middle of something. I don't? Apparently I don't have to wear these now. It's all so confusing. At any rate, with Ronald McDonald House, we love the impact they make in the community. You can actually see that impact.
You're on mute. Unmute yourself.
Sorry about that, Sean. Anyway, like I was saying, really when you invest in Ronald McDonald House, you can see the impact of your investment because, you know, they talk about creating a home away from home for children and families in need of medical care. And that's legitimately what happens with those dollars. So, you know, you feel good about, oh, hey, quarantine's over. I'll see you back at the store, okay?
Oh, your pants. Don't forget change your pants. Change your pants.
It's good to see you again, Sean. It's fun to be back here together. So my thought for today is hopeful. I feel hopeful for us and for the future of the house as they continue to pursue their goal of keeping families close, both within the walls of Ronald McDonald House, but also out in the community. And one of the things I'm most hopeful and excited for is that I get to see you all in person next year.
Tonight, with grateful and hopeful hearts, we look toward the future. We look at how we continue to navigate through COVID, expand our programs beyond the house, widen our base of support, and help our families in so many different ways. And to keep fulfilling our promise to these families, we need your generous gifts, and there are many ways for you to get involved. As usual, following the story from the Geekstad family, we will fill the house with love. Here, your direct and generous donations will help families stay at the house where they can feel at home without having to worry about hotel or restaurant bills, where they can bond with other families facing their own medical journey, do some laundry, play in our activity rooms, or make a meal in one of our kitchens. In 2022, we estimate it will cost $102 per night per family at the Ronald McDonald House. Families are only asked to donate $20 a night and are never turned away due to the inability to pay. Contributions from families account for approximately 2% of our annual operating revenues each year, and funds raised during Fill the House with Love truly help bridge the gap for families unable to contribute toward their stay. In addition to Fill the House, we will have our silent auction. You can easily enter our auction by texting HEARTS to 88793 or by visiting www.heartsdiamonds.rmhmn.org to see our fabulous silent auction items. This year, we have a VIP package for Hearts and Diamonds 2023, which includes a table for 10, transportation to and from the event, front-of-the-line passes, a round of signature drinks courtesy of Summerby, a group picture courtesy of Fagan Studios, and a special VIP dessert. We also have 4 tickets to the Minnesota Wild game on March 26th in the Country Financial Suite at XL Energy Center, courtesy of Country Financial. A 5-course meal for 6 with wine and cocktail pairings, courtesy of Blue Duck Kitchen. A photography package from Fagan Studios, and a wide variety of other unique experiences and one-of-a-kind items. By signing up for the text, you will be notified when you are outbid or when the auction is closing, so you won't miss out on that item you had your heart set on. And of course, the signature raffle of our event is our Diamond Raffle, featuring stunning diamonds donated by Height and Randall Personal Jeweler. This year, the raffle will be virtual, and we will ask you to join us on live Zoom shortly after this video ends to give away this year's fantastic pieces, as always provided by Height and Randall Personal Jewelers. Barbara, what fantastic items can our guests win in the raffle this year?
Well, thanks, Ileana. Now we can talk about the diamond prizes for the evening. And the first one is this beautiful sparkly ring. Have you ever wanted a ring that you could wear on every finger and it would fit perfectly? Well, this one can, because it's flexible. And so it can get bigger or smaller and still fit comfortably and perfectly. You can wear it on your thumb to your pinky. It is made with 75 sparkling, round, brilliant diamonds, and it is 1.75 of total weight of diamonds. So it can sparkle, and not only on the front, because it wraps, it will show that sparkle even if you happen to be walking with your hand down and somebody behind you will see the sparkle as well. So the next idea is the diamond dangle earrings. These little guys are teardrops, beginning at the top, and they articulate, so they wiggle and waggle for extra sparkle as you wear them. Now, some of you might think that this is only for dress up. Honestly, with a little t-shirt or a polo shirt, put these on, put your hair up, wear it down, and you are ready to go. Then we have the custom design piece, and that's something that I can get personally involved with, hearing your story. And you may have jewelry that you have that you'd like to have bits and bobs of to go into a new design. And so then we can take those bits and bobs, put it together, and create a design that is really says everything that you want to say and to say your story. So whether it's a ring or it's a pendant or a pin, could be right in here and absolutely perfectly made for you. You're always going to want to take home one of these little Height and Randall bags and know that you've had the personal jeweler touch just for you.
Over the 2 years of the pandemic, our dedicated staff at the Ronald McDonald House has not just made every effort to keep operation running as normal, they have continuously strived to adjust, innovate, and come up with new offerings, alternative programming, and more ways to expand our reach. They have always targeted to not just accept the new normal, but look towards a bright and better future while taking advantage of several positives that the pandemic has brought into our lives. We recently caught up with Peggy, Paula, Carmen, and a few board members to hear about some of the things going on at the house.
Sometimes it's hard to imagine that COVID could positively impact anything, but I think that there's always good that can come out of difficult situations, and we've definitely seen that with the Ronald McDonald House.
The Ronald McDonald House of Rochester really had a good year. 2021 was a much more positive year for our mission than the prior year. First and foremost, we upheld our promise to families. And our promise that was made more than 40 years ago is really about two things. It's about providing that safe shelter when they travel from across the country or around the world for care here in Rochester, and it's about caring, compassionate support. COVID made us realize that we need to meet families and serve them where they need us to be. And traditionally that's always been with inside Ronald McDonald House, and now it's inside and it's outside. Whether families are sleeping in the beds at the house or they're driving up to the front door to pick up a warm meal that we've ordered for them, or a warm blanket that a community volunteer group has made for them, or a bag of arts and crafts to keep the family busy while they're in a hotel room due to COVID protocol restrictions. We're serving families, and it's lots of little acts of kindness that really amount to this big, beautiful mission that we're all a part of.
We're providing meals, we're providing just support, we're providing them just the knowledge that, hey, someone is here for me. A lot of times it's just somebody there to listen when they just need to talk.
We also had a really good year because we were able to take what we learned last year and make our organization stronger. We have such an amazing staff team, and it's such a privilege to work alongside them. We have great volunteers and a great leadership group with our board of trustees. And it's been so fun to figure out what we can do and what we can do better because of COVID, rather than be restricted by what we can't do. And it did not take our staff team long to think about how we can still serve families and actually serve them better.
We've also expanded the family activity bag program since COVID, and it's not only one bag per family, it's one bag per child, because who really wants to share their things with their brothers and sisters? Everybody should have their own. Art activities, puzzles, books, toys, games for the family to enjoy, and now we've expanded that. So we've really tried to personalize it to get to know the family and each child, their interests, their likes.
And when they come and pick it up, to see their surprise with what we're able to provide for them, even though they're not staying at the house, it's fun to see the kids' faces light up, or even parents just be surprised with the amount of support that we still want to provide them even though they're not in our doors.
Over the last couple of years, the staff has done an extraordinary job of stepping up and stepping into positions that used to be filled by essentially hundreds of volunteers, and we couldn't be more proud of them. I don't know how they do it all. I'm grateful for the team that's there.
The staff at the Ronald McDonald House is a staff that is second to none. And I feel so fortunate to call so many of them my friends and my partners in providing care for the families of the Ronald McDonald House. They are resilient, they are strong, and they care so deeply.
Our Ronald McDonald House is very fortunate to be in such a caring community such as Rochester. We have been supported by and nurtured and stewarded by people in this community and our Ronald McDonald House community for more than 40 years. Amazingly, that has not changed with this global pandemic. Our community support has grown stronger. I think one of the last things that families have time or energy for at the end of the day is thinking about grocery shopping or putting a meal together. And we have, with the help of all of our partners, we have filled that gap and made those families, given them one less thing to worry about.
Just thinking about a family who shared with us who did not stay at the house, but we were able to provide them with a Thanksgiving meal. She shared with us to realize that she hasn't been taking care of herself, and for someone to take care of her and to meet her needs without her even recognizing that she needed that assistance and needed someone to kind of show her love and support and compassion. Without being in the house, we could still do that.
And the great support of our community, we provide hot meals every day of the week for families. And we're optimistic and hopeful that that will not change, that this is not strictly related to COVID, but it's this reawakening, a new understanding of how the community can better support families here in Rochester.
Having the volunteers back at the house is amazing. It just brings this different life to the house. To see their smiling faces and their care and compassion.
Laughter, noise, interactions with families, though it's minimal, it's still interactions that families really crave, and is good for them because it can be very lonely coming to Rochester by yourself.
So it's great to have them back in the house, even if it is a limited capacity for now, just to feel their love and their support and how they want to serve families.
This has really shown us this need to meet families where they are and where they need us to provide services. It doesn't all have to be at 850 2nd Street Southwest. It doesn't all need to be within the walls of Ronald McDonald House. Perhaps it will be somewhere on the Mayo campus, or it'll be somewhere downtown, a little bit closer to where families are spending the majority of their time during the day.
Our mission can be out there, and we have seen the impact, and we have heard the impact from families who haven't come inside of our doors and stayed overnight, just how much we have helped them and provided support.
So my hope for the future of the Ronald McDonald House is that we get those rooms filled again. We built this beautiful addition, and we have yet to have it completely filled. But that day is coming, we know it, and we're getting ready for it.
To have kids laughing in the hallways again, to have kids running down the hallways, to be using our beautiful activity spaces in the community room, and to bring families back together with each other.
My hope is to have house dinners back in person with 70 guest families, and the activity room filled with kids running and laughing, and families being together, and volunteers interacting with the kids again.
I hope for the return of sound of little feet running on the floor above where I'm volunteering. I hope for house dinners in the community room where I can offer parents seconds, or I can encourage kids to make ice cream sundaes with too many sprinkles. Or we can have campfires on the patio and roast marshmallows, or maybe even catch them on fire. And everyone can just revel in the joy of being a child.
I am so optimistic and excited about the future for the house. Our future is bright. We are so excited to serve more families. We served more families this year than we did last year in the midst of this COVID storm. That's really what inspires us. It's what fills our cups every day to serve children and families. We're looking forward to filling up every guest room in the house. We're looking forward to expanding our outreach and helping more families who come to Rochester.
As I previously mentioned, the Ronald McDonald House has a special place in my heart as a guest, a volunteer, and tonight as your MC. Similarly, this house has also been very special for tonight's host family, the Gigstads. In 2017, the Gigstad family called the Ronald McDonald House home for more than 83 nights after their son Carson received a heart transplant. While Carson's heart condition was a huge surprise for the Gigstad family, it led to genetic testing for his entire family that helped find the same diagnosis for his father, which may ultimately save his life.
So Carson is a very interesting young man. From the time that he was born prematurely, he's always been a very complex, curious, interesting young man. He's very active in Boy Scouts, loves to camp, loves to be outdoors and do things in that space.
Humor is a big part of his life. He wants to make people laugh, and he's very caring and very loving. He's an interesting kid. He's got a lot of different facets to him that make him super interesting.
So we wake up on our second to last day of vacation. It's July 7th, and Carson says, I have a headache and stomach ache, and I want to go to the doctor right now. Why would you want to go to the doctor for a headache and stomach ache? And he was very insistent on going. So when we get to the Brainerd emergency room, we get this doctor who starts triaging Carson, and he's running this blood work, and he's doing this chest x-ray, and a part of me is like, why is he doing all of this? And we're thinking we're gonna get extra strength Tylenol, give him that, and send us home, you know? And it's a beautiful 85-degree day in July, right? I mean, we want to be back out on the lake. And he said, well, I moved to Brainerd 6 months ago, and I had experience working in children's in Arizona for 20 years. And my experience is 95% of the time when a 13-year-old young man comes in that is never sick, 95% of the time it is a heart issue. So there's no way he's having an issue with his heart, is what I'm thinking. And he comes back in the room and says, yeah, so I'm gonna send you off to Children's Minneapolis. You know, our heads are spinning because what in the world just happened to us, right? And he says, you're not driving, you're flying. He said, I did a test that looked at his heart, his liver, and his kidneys, and if we don't get him there soon, I'm not sure he'll survive. He's sitting right across from me. He looks completely fine. Suddenly, Lifelink shows up. 22 minutes later, Carson and I are at the top of Children's Minneapolis, and there's a woman that has her back to me, and she's doing an echocardiogram. I've never seen an echocardiogram in my life, right? Ultrasound of the heart. And I said to her, I feel like I've had a lot of schooling, but I didn't realize that the left side of the heart is so much bigger than the right. And that's where there was silence. And at that moment, I knew things turned completely upside down for our family. And this doctor comes flying in. Mrs. Gigstad, you're going to go into full shock, and we'll do everything we can to save Carson, but he's in full heart failure. And they said, you're going to Mayo, because at this point we don't know what else to do. And Mayo has a transplant center, and if he does need a heart transplant, you're in the best place. So Monday morning, Carson and I got packaged up, went in the ambulance, got delivered to Mayo, and that was a whole new ball game. The best thing that ever happened to our family by far. And one thing that stuck out in that moment is when all the doctors and nurses were there rounding on him for that first day. And I remember Paul and Delaney and I, our daughter, staying in the room. And the doctors and nurses said, no, we want you to come out here and do the rounds with us. And they said to Paul and I, we will learn more from you than you will ever learn from us. And then they turned to Delaney and said, and as his sibling, you know more about him than anyone else. We need you here, you're part of our team. And to me, that was life-changing because they've always treated us just like family. And yeah, this is on Monday, and this journey had started on a Friday. And then on Wednesday, which is July 12th, they got him on the transplant list.
So Carson had a poor functioning heart, which can result from a lot of different types of cardiomyopathy, or it's a fancy term for diseases of the heart muscle. And for him, it was mostly a dilated cardiomyopathy, where his heart is just very dilated and very poor functioning. He turned very quickly, within 4 days. Even despite IV medications and everything else, it was pretty clear his heart wasn't pumping enough blood out to the rest of his body to support his other organs. We would put in a VAD, an assist device, which would take over the pumping of the left side of his heart, take blood out of his left ventricle, pump it into his aorta, and kind of replace that function that he didn't have anymore, as a way to bridge him to transplant and have his other organs be healthy to get to transplant.
So I'm staying with Carson while Kristen and Delaney take a break from all that craziness down in Rochester. And I'm in the hospital room with Carson, just hanging out, and the transplant surgeon comes in and he says, I've got some news for you. I go, what? You know, I'm thinking the worst, of course, and he says, I think we've located a heart.
We weren't home for 5 minutes, and Paul was trying to call us, and we were bringing stuff in from the driveway, and then my daughter said, Dad says he has to talk to us right now. And my heart sunk because I thought the absolute worst had happened and I didn't want to go there. And he screamed into the phone, they found a heart, you have to get right back here.
Man, I about fell off my chair. It was so exciting. And the cool thing was that there were other nurses in the room at the same time, and they broke out and cheered. They were like giving me hugs, and it was so incredible. And I just couldn't wait to call Kristen and tell her. And
Tuesday morning at 6 a.m., I heard a helicopter land, and the nurse came and knocked on the door and said, I thought I could get through this whole thing. Said, Carson's heart is here. And as a parent, I was so excited, but I had mixed emotions because I knew that some other parent had just lost their child, and that was horrific. The medical transplant team did a great job of walking us through and saying, this is what donors want to do, right? They want to make an impact, and this is how they're making an impact. And you have to remember as you go forward, that was their choice, and they gave your son a second chance at life. And so they went into the surgery, and they convinced us to leave the hospital and to go across the street. So we went to Canadian Hunker, but I was, not really interested in eating, and I was more thinking what was going on across the street. And when the waitress came, she said, oh, you're not eating much. And I said, I can't. I said, my son's over there getting a heart transplant. And she said, a what? She comes back with this bag full of cookies and cakes and desserts, and she was like, bring it to the medical team, bring it to anybody else that's sitting in the waiting room. Just the kindness of people in Rochester has blown us away. After Carson's heart transplant, and as we got to know the donor's family, months after the transplant, Amanda, who's Carson's donor, her mom shared the story with us that when LifeSource is working with them to take these beautiful parts of Amanda that she's sharing with other people, that they, as they're ready to take her for surgery to do all this, they have the family surround her in the hospital bed, and then the LifeSource reps are there, and they go around the room and they start with, the left kidney, for example, is going to a gentleman in Pennsylvania that's 52 years old. The right kidney is going to a man in Wisconsin that's 70 years old. And they go around, and then the last organ that they talk about is the heart. And Tina tells about how they got to, and the heart is going to a 13-year-old boy from Minneapolis. And she said in that moment, she fell to the floor and lost it. And she's telling me this story, and she knows she's losing her daughter, and she's crying for me because she can't fathom how a 13-year-old boy would need a heart. And just a powerful testament to people and the goodness that has surrounded us.
So we ask all of our patients to stay in Rochester for 3 months after a heart transplant, because that's the biggest risk time for you can have heart rejection, and that's where Ronald McDonald House comes in so critically, because these families need a place to stay and support during those, especially during those 3 months.
And we got a call from Ronald McDonald House, and it was from Kayleen, and said, Kristen, can you and Paul come over at, this afternoon at 4 o'clock and meet with me? And I'm sure we look shell-shocked, right? Because we not only have this heart transplant recipient, but now we've got to find a place to live for 3 months. Kayleen was so kind and walked us through everything. And I remember thinking, how did we get so lucky, right? I remember saying to Paul, turning to him and saying, we've got to go to Target after this and get shampoo. I don't have any deodorant. I need to get a blow dryer. And Kayleen's like, no, we've got that all covered. And I'm like, I'm thinking to myself, how can you have that all covered, right? And then she asks me about things about Delaney and Carson. What are their interests? What are their likes? And why is she asking me these questions, right? And suddenly a volunteer walks in with these 2 beautiful fleece blankets that are based on likes of what they have, right? So Delaney's was butterflies and Carson was Star Wars. And they have these fleece blankets that volunteers, somebody else had made, that they are now giving to my children. Like, it just, the kindness continues to come, and I feel like we're in a foreign world. It really felt like that. And they bring us up to our room, and I remember the relief, like thinking, I had no idea how we were gonna do this because my husband couldn't work. I couldn't work. We knew we wouldn't have that income coming in, and trying to figure out how we were gonna afford that financially had just put me into a stress zone that I can't even tell you. And then she gives us a tour of Ronald McDonald House. And I'm like, where did this place come from, right? This is like Disney World, really. I mean, and they've got the kindest people that work there. The things that they did to make things fun, like when Carson eventually came back to Ronald McDonald House, they had a video game room, right? I mean, for a kid that's a 13-year-old, it was magical. My daughter, who was 16 years old, who just had her life ripped out of her, right? Because she's now got this brother who she's watched almost die in front of her, spent days in the art room creating things because that was how she healed. So many different ways and things that they did that allowed us to heal as a family while we were in this 3-month period that was unexpected for us to be there, but it was a gift.
So the Ronald McDonald House to us is a critical link between what we do in the hospital and in the clinics, and then the families getting home. And they need a place. They need somewhere to be. They need support. They need things to do. They need activities, and they need a community. I honestly don't know that we could do what we do without it. We need that support for those families, and that place to stay and that community.
It's an amazing place. I mean, you don't have to worry about anything. You just walk in the door and it's like you're at home. Food's there for you if you need it. Somebody to talk to if you need it. The staff's amazing. Rooms are great. The big dinners they would do, then when the community would come in, it's a giving place. It's an amazing place.
They made the most difficult experience in the world that I think we will ever go through the most beautiful thing in the world. From the medical team to Ronald McDonald House, it was life-changing. I was in renewing my license maybe a year after Carson's transplant. So being the vocal person that I have become since this transplant, and me seeing really how you never think it's gonna happen to you. You never do. And then it does. And I remember standing there with my piece of paper, and the poor woman that was working there, I said, if any of you aren't organ donors, you need to become organ donors. See the paper, check the box. My son received a heart transplant last year and we never expected it, and I would ask you all to sign the box. And the people there were like, what? You know, your son had a heart transplant? I'm like, yes, and it saved his life, so please check the box. So it's an important thing.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is what the house is about. A place to call home when a medical journey takes you away from home. A place to unwind and step away from the daily grind that hospitalization can bring. This is the impact this has on families like the Gigstads, and it has been your continued support that has made this possible for them and many, many families over the years that the Ronald McDonald House has been in Rochester and around the world. And tonight, we challenge you to continue this support, whether it be monetarily, by volunteering, or other talents and skills you can share with us. It is now that I would like to ask you to fill this house with love, to help support families stay here without worries, to rest and be strong to fight another day with and for their loved ones. And there are many ways you can fill the house with love this year. First of all, you can fill in the card that you received with your box this year and send it back with your donation. Secondly, you can call the house right now and somebody will be ready to take your information for a donation. Just call us at 507-282-3955. We will also be sending you a link to our donation page via text tonight if you want to make a payment online. Last year, despite all of us navigating a new virtual event, you generously donated close to $50,000. Enough to support 450 nights for families to stay at the house. With your help, let's see if we can make it at least 500 this year. On top of that, this year the first $15,000 that comes in this evening will be part of a dollar-for-dollar match by Mayo Clinic, an even better reason to grab your phone, hop online to make your donation. From both of us, on behalf of the families relying on the Ronald McDonald House to be their home away from home, thank you.
Yes, 2021 has been a challenging year, and we so hope that we can celebrate and support the house together again in person with you for Hearts and Diamonds 2023. But in the meantime, we can't thank you enough for your continued support for the Ronald McDonald House, which allows us to take care of all our families that now have to navigate their child's diagnosis and a pandemic. Thank you so much for your generosity and your love.
With that, we would like to say a final thank you to our sponsors: Sterling State Bank, Height and Randall Personal Jeweler, Summerby Golf Club, Knutson Construction, Rochester Motor Cars, and Fagan Studios, our wonderful Hearts and Diamonds Committee, our Board of Trustees, our staff and volunteers, and of course you, our fantastic supporters. We look forward to seeing you soon for the live diamond drawing.
Well done, guys. Well done. Another way. Oh yeah, that's fantastic. Well done. That was fantastic. Good stuff. Wonderful. All right, that's a wrap, guys. Fantastic job.
All right, should we all watch the live drawing together?
Yeah. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Marta, we gotta go. We gotta get to the live Zoom.